Hey YouTube, Texian Libertarian here. This is a review of my Turkish Mauser I picked up from the gun show about a year ago. This was my second gun I ever picked up. And this one is a, let's see if I can set up. Go, excuse the shakiness. See if I can't zoom it in. A Kale from 1942. The two's kind of scratched out. There you go. This thing unzoomed. Anyway, so there's that. This thing was totally beat up. It still is. I kind of left it in its scratched up, dinged up condition. I tend to like my rifles looking like they've done something. I'm sure this hasn't. I'm sure it's just a bunch of markings from sitting in a, excuse me, there's my shirt. Sitting in a warehouse or something, but it kind of looks like it was, something was done with it, which I kind of like. So at least I can pretend. As I understand, these things really weren't used for any kind of combat or anything. I heard something about tribal wars, but I think that's just American myth. But anyway, so it's pretty cool though. And I picked this thing up for 150 bucks. And I'll show you why it was 150 bucks in a second. Flip it over and not scratch up my table or my rifle. Well, I guess it wouldn't really matter, would it? My rifle. Anyway, so there's that. This kind of bothered me, a huge gash right there. And it's not a good looking, ooh, that kind of looks like it got beat up in the war kind of gash. That's just a gash, and it doesn't look good. Let's see. Let's see, there's kind of a big old gash there. And all that. Anyway, so, you know, just kind of the, there you go. Just sling it all over the place. Anyway, so you can see the, let's see, the sights on these things, pretty standard, kind of a ridiculous number on here. You can see, I don't know if it's in yards or meters. I assume meters. This thing goes all the way up to 20 meters or whatever. Not meters. What would it be? Anyway, you know what I mean. You can tell I know all kinds of things about this rifle, can't you? Anyway. See, this thing is not matching at all. I think the only thing that matches on this entire rifle is the receiver and the barrel. And maybe the sights. I think the sights did too. But outside of that, everything else is mismatched. Everything's kind of all over the place. Which is another reason I got him down to 150. He wanted 175 if I remember correctly. But I got him down to 150 because this thing also closed. This thing also on the receiver, it's all gone now. I did work on it. Some steel wool, 4/0 steel wool. Oh, it's not gonna, there it goes. I was about to say it's not gonna focus again. But that thing was totally rusted up, just surface rust, but it was really not good. I mean, that bothered me. I don't know if this thing was ever used by anybody else since then. Oh, there we go. Forget which way the zoom goes. But I don't know. I don't know what the guy who had it before me did with this thing, but it was rusted. Same thing up here on the exposed part of the barrel. Everything below the wood was perfectly fine. It was also covered in cosmoline. So I don't know. I think somebody probably picked this up on the cheap, used it as a cheap kind of sporting rifle, got tired with it, just kind of sold it off. I'm not real sure though. But anyway, so fell into my hands, 150 bucks. I can't be happier with this thing. The trigger pull on it's amazing, and I heard bad things about Turk rifles, so I was surprised by that. I'm sorry, this rifle is not coming out. It's very dark in this video, and it is a dark wood overall. It's just soaked with all kinds of grease and crap. But as I get closer, it's kind of, you can see that's pretty much what it looks like. I'm actually surprised. It's picking up the color over here, but down here it looks very dark. For whatever reason. Anyway, forgive that, please. Anyway, so just thought I'd show it off real quick. And it is chambered in 8mm. And the ammunition is very, very cheap here. So, especially the Turkish stuff, which is what I use with this. Fix it up like that. One last look over it. There you go. And one last thing. I was kind of looking for a World War One kind of vintage one. Maybe a 1893 model and all that. Sadly, I came into the gun show knowing a little bit about the 93 models and all that, where they had to get this thing fixed up again. Sorry, one-handed folks. But the actual receiver, they would have to drill out a little bit of it so they could fit the newer cartridge. And I can't show you because I'm holding the butt of it with one hand and holding the camera with the other, so forgive me. But it did have, the older ones had this bit here drilled out so they could fit the newer cartridge. And I knew about that, but I was so excited to find one because I'd never seen one before until then. I thought, holy crap, I was just reading about these things 2 days before the gun show, and here's one, and I'd never seen one before. So I jumped on it, not really thinking about it. And it turns out I got the Kale, which is something I knew very little about. I didn't really research it because I knew I didn't want one. But I was pleasantly surprised. This thing is nice. Another reason, I'm going to shut the bolt before I do. There we go. This is another reason. This was probably one of the biggest reasons why I got them down. It's because this stupid little rear sling swivel is so messed up. I don't know what happened there. How do you do that? It's completely screwed up. Look at that. I don't know what occurred to make it that way. You can also see it's also got the serial number, the original, stamped out. But anyway, that just caught my eye. But I do not know what happened here. That bothers me, though. That's really annoying. The front one's fine. But anyway. All right, I'm rambling again. I don't know what happens. You put a gun in front of me, I ramble. All my other videos are really short. But anyway. So there it is. Pretty neat. If you ever come across one of these, even the KKs, I would definitely pick one up. I have, I don't have a huge gun collection, but I have a couple. And, it's just something that, this caught my eye. I wanted a Mauser. This one was cheap as it gets, $150 for a Mauser. And I think this was, 2012, 2011, late 2011 maybe. And find a Mauser for $150. This thing is long too. See, I can't even get it up that high. Anyway, so there it is. I'm going to stop rambling, and I think you get the idea if you find one of these in a gun show. And, this thing is kind of interesting to you, I'd pick one up. Especially if it's not a KKL. The KKLs are neat and everything, but they just don't have the history of the others. Anyway, y'all have a great day, and definitely pick one of these up if you ever see one. Don't underestimate the Turkish Mausers. They are very high quality. Anyway, y'all have a good one.